What's up, everybody? I'm Scott,
I'm Jason.
and you are listening to Liquid Carnage. What's up, buddy?
Oh, nothing much, man. How you doing?
Not too bad. I'm good today because we didn't have to listen to any Tool. We didn't have anyone
Yeah.
trying to steal our show. We're back in
Nope.
the driver's seat.
I know.
We're ready
I
for a
know.
great show today.
I feel like we're right back in the norm again.
Yeah, I always appreciate when Tom comes on and gives us his 2 cents, but I don't think trying to cram someone's musical taste down someone else's throat is ever something I can condone. You know?
Well, I think that everyone has their own passion about what kind of music they like, but it's always hard when the passion is about something that's not mainstream, because it seems very isolating in terms of a smaller group of people like that. It's kind of like, oh, I just enjoy butterfly capturing.
Yeah. Or a nice.
There's not very many people that get into that.
Yeah, or a nice hoppy IPA from Iceland, only brewed in the months between March and June.
Exactly.
That's a little much for me. It's a little much for me.
Or people who like cats.
Yeah, and I'm not taking away from Tool. I mean, if that's what exactly, I'm not taking away from that. I'm not taking away from Tool, and if that's what he wants, if Tom ever decides to start his own spin-off of Liquid Carnage and call it Liquid EP, we fully support it. We'll send him notes every week. But I'm going to hijack that show and play Nickelback for 10 hours to see how he feels.
Ooh. I might play some Miley Cyrus.
Ooh. Oh, man, that'd be a rough 20 hours for somebody.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah.
Man. So is there a music or a musical style or a band you can't stand? Hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all at Liquid Carnage, and let us know what that is or who that band is. We want to hear from you. If you want to talk to Tom about Tool, hit him up on Twitter and Instagram, all at liquid_EP.
I came back from Denver this weekend, and I got the experience and the real pleasure of spending time with my friend and his lovely wife and their 3 kids. But the majority of the weekend was spent discussing politics, which, as you know, is a tough subject in and of itself, but it's really tough when your friend who you've known for 35 years has basically a very opposite opinion on politics as you do.
Yeah. So
there were a couple times where we respected our friendship and we laughed and joked at each other's stupidity. And then there was one time where we were literally yelling at each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to stop and say, you know what? Like, he had made some comment to me. You're just always talking. You're never letting me finish. And I said, you know what? I just think it's really ridiculous that you can't, acknowledge that I made a mistake and I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay then. Oh man, dude, it was a little
funny, intense.
But most of the time we were taking like, what do you call it when you take like a passive shot at someone? Like you're not overtly aggressive at them, but you're like
passively aggressive.
You say something passively aggressive. So there was most of the time it was passive aggressive, or he'd just say, "Gosh, I can't believe that I let you become a liberal or whatever." But the one time was right in your face, like, I'm so angry, I'm like mad at you in your face.
Mm-hmm. Well, would you rather have that or him taking a backhanded passive aggressive shot at you?
Ooh, interesting question. I think I've always been better. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't say that. You probably need to ask Noreen. I feel like I'm better with in your face, like I'm mad at you and I don't like what you did.
Yeah.
Versus, how come you're not talking anymore? Nothing.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. What about you? What do you like?
I prefer straightforward in your face. I don't like passive aggressiveness when it comes to that. Someone trying to take a shot at you. Like, if you're going to take a shot at me, take your shot. Shoot your shot and tell me what I did. Tell me what your issue is. Don't be passive aggressive about it, because I'm not going to acknowledge it. And I make a note to never acknowledge passive aggressiveness, and it drives people crazy. That might also be why people think I'm kind of an asshole.
Well, what do you think the difference is between someone who just keeps their anger to themselves versus passive aggressive? Is there a difference?
I think so. I think anyone that just lets their anger, keeps it to themselves and processes it, if they don't say anything, they just absorb it, let it go, and realize it's not that big a deal. That's completely different than passive aggressive. If they take what happened to them and they wait a while and they just make stupid comments in passing and just never really confront you about it, yeah, that's passive aggressive, and that's just it's not fun. It just does nothing but create toxicity.
Yeah, that's kind of like when someone complains about something you did, but
Yeah.
you did it like 5 years ago.
Yeah. That's
You know what I mean? Like, have you ever had that fight where you're fighting with someone and, well, 7 years ago you said you didn't like my shorts, so I never wore shorts again.
Yeah. Or if someone says, yeah, we should go to Vegas and go to Subway because, it's a good restaurant up there. It's...
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's a passive-aggressive shot,
That is kind of passive-aggressive. That is true. So what a real friend should have done is said, hey, stop being a pansy. We're not going to Subway in Vegas.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
He probably didn't know how to say that, so instead he just went passive-aggressive of, hey, I got a wacky idea. Why don't we go to Subway?
In Vegas.
Yeah. In Vegas, yeah.
Now,
that is passive-aggressive, right? I guess, do you know what a definition of passive-aggressive is?
No, I don't. Why don't you tell me what it is? Because I know you have it pulled up somewhere.
I don't. I'm just trying to – I don't want to use a term that Tom's going to say, dude, you don't understand what passive-aggressive is. You're fired.
Well, I think we all know what passive-aggressive is. We may not be able to define it by Webster's dictionary, but I think everybody that listens to us fully understands what passive-aggressive is.
Some people just don't know how to fight fair.
There's that too. And I prefer a fair fight. At least I know what ground I'm standing on. If I have to pick and choose what's going on or what I have to say because of the way something was said, I'm not a fan of that. I don't think that's fair because if I say the wrong thing because I picked the wrong thing to argue about because of something they said, I don't like it.
Yeah, I think I've been in fights before where not even fights, but I hate people who take something, they don't say it's a problem, they let it fester for years and years and years, and then do what we're talking about, which is like little digs, little digs. I don't want to say it's petty, but it's kind of petty.
Yeah. But is there a difference between petty and passive aggressive, or is that basically the same thing?
Well, I don't know, because I never want to discount what makes someone upset, right? Like when you're with someone in a relationship, like, for example, I'm not a huge person who likes practical jokes.
Yeah.
I just don't like them. And I really don't like them done to me.
Yeah, that's
now,
a shame.
There have been times when Noreen did a practical joke to me, and I probably overreacted to what she did because of my loathing of practical jokes. Now, I don't know if that's passive aggressive, but I'm sure there are times where I probably didn't handle it the best way. So I don't want to overreact on something that I don't think is really that important.
Yeah, and I get that, but I don't want to change the subject. But just to go on a sidebar from this conversation, we've pulled plenty of jokes on you over the years, and you have pulled plenty of jokes on your former employers. If I remember correctly, now if I'm wrong, you may say I am wrong and scold me for it. But in your old job, your past job, if someone left their computer unattended, did you not put a picture of David Hasselhoff as their screensaver wallpaper?
There have been times where I put David Hasselhoff on someone's screensaver. What I'm talking about is when someone takes your personal belongings and hides them, or reprograms your keyboard so that the A is no longer the A.
Oh, that's the funny stuff.
Yeah, see, a lot of people love that kind of stuff because it's really funny.
Mm-hmm.
I've never, to me, taking a picture off someone's screensaver is not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Putting, I've never liked people who would send an email to a lot of other people with something derogatory on it and thought that'd be funny.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, leave your computer unlocked. Anything can happen.
All right, so that's your disclaimer is all I'm hearing.
Yeah, so I just I don't like practical jokes that just are, I don't want to say mean-spirited, but they're just they're pretty mean.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like practical jokes where you're making fun of someone in public.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like those.
Okay. So just to get back on track here, I mean, now that we've clarified that, let's get back on track and talk about
Aggressive and say, oh, okay, that's fine. And then not say anything, but then not talk to you anymore and not explain to you why I'm mad at you.
Yeah. Now, if someone is passive aggressive to you and you choose not to respond to that and you just end up just not talking for a while, is that okay at that point? Because you know what, if you're not going to acknowledge your passive aggressiveness, is it up to that person who was passive aggressive to break the ice and reestablish communication and try to figure out why, or make them eat crow?
I think it really depends on how close the relationship is. With Noreen, I know that she's going to talk to me within the day, so I know that, you know, if I say what's wrong, she says, "Oh, nothing," when I know there's something wrong, and now I'll just say, "Oh, okay," and I'll walk off. When it's more like at work, I've met people at work sometimes where they won't talk to you, and you don't understand why they're upset. I get a little bit more aggressive on that, especially if we have work to do. We have to get work done, so we can't afford just to not talk to each other. Noreen has a coworker right now at work who is very passive aggressive, and she is the type of person that will spread gossip about other people. That's how petty she is. And so to me, right there, I would need to nip that in the bud quickly. Like, hey, what's your problem? Oh, nothing. No, we have a problem, and I don't want this to escalate any further because I don't want you really causing a problem.
Yeah, and that makes sense. So let me ask you this then. So if you thought you were close with somebody and they were passive aggressive to you, that could break a friendship almost. If you thought that you were closer and they apparently had a different perception of closeness in your relationship.
I think
Does that
so,
make sense?
Yeah.
So what would you do in that scenario? Because that's I think that happens to people a whole lot more than they realize. Is that communication? It's a simple. If you sit down and just say it straightforward, you'd probably prevent this. But this is what caused some people friendships and relationships.
See, like the first question that I would have to ask myself is, did the person express the anger? You know, like that let's say you said to someone, "Hey, you know what? We've been seeing a lot of each other lately. I just need a break for a little bit." And they didn't say anything, right? They don't say anything like, "Oh, wow, what are you saying?" You know, they don't make a fight of it. But then when you do reach back out to them and then they say, "Oh, you know, whatever," you know, or they act weird, I get I don't like that. You don't, if you don't like something I say, then just tell me.
Yeah, no, it's or something I've done, or something you've done for that point. I get that. I just think it's so hard in today's world because people take so many things personally that they shouldn't, or they don't ask more questions to clarify situations, that they create bigger issues out of nothing. At least that's what I've seen in my opinion.
And you know, I think that goes with a lot of the I've seen news stories where they say that, you know, that's the biggest problem our society has right now is we don't know how to interact with each other like we used to. Like, you know, for example, you know, in the olden days, if you had a problem with a kid in school, you just met on the playground and took care of it, and it was done. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't there wasn't a bullying or now I'm going to gang up and I have girls and we're going to, you know, make fun of you or whatever. It was just taken care of. So I think we've lost that ability to handle our differences and our differing opinions. And so maybe that's part of it too, is like, well, I don't know how to address it face to face with you. So I'm just going to pout like a little person and handle it that way and see if I get my way.
Yeah. And I don't, and I feel like with the rise of social media, that's what's triggered a lot of this. It's people just feel like they can say it online. It's not to say it to someone's face, and that creates a lot more animosity, a lot more passive aggressiveness, and then it takes away the whole confrontation of telling someone how you feel and resolving those issues right there so they can grow and move on.
Well, and also not take it like if we have a disagreement that the friendship is over. I mean, I feel
exactly.
that some of the biggest growth that I've had in my friendships is when it came down to you and I need to talk. Whether it's with Noreen or personal relationships or my friends. I mean, you and I mean, for the most part, we get along pretty good. But I also know that if there was ever something that was a problem, it would get taken care of. I mean, it wouldn't be that
absolutely.
way. And I'm not sure if it's because of our friendship, we just respect each other to take care of it, or if it's because we're both we don't do the passive aggressive game very well. I don't know why it works like that for us, but it seems like with total strangers, maybe it's easier to just say, I don't agree with what you're saying, so it's better for me not to say anything to you and just not even try to create a friendship.
Yeah, that's what I do a lot too. Is I bite my tongue on a lot of things, and I have to decide when I'm dealing with certain people. Like, is this worth fighting over, or is this worth just walking away and pick your battles? Just I guess it's a matter of just reading the person or reading the room.
And a lot of it too is this fight worth losing a relationship over?
Yeah, exactly. Or is this comment, is what I'm about to say, going to light this motherfucker on fire?
You could be. Yeah, have you ever had that where you're the upfront person and you're dealing with someone who's passive aggressive, and it's like you don't want to say the thing that just blows everything up, but you also don't want to have it fester for years and then be an issue.
Yeah, no. At some point, though, you have to decide: do I light that match and see what burns, or do I keep tiptoeing around it, hoping that it gently fixes itself and I don't hurt anybody's feelings? And that never works out the way you want.
Do you think that someone's opinion about a topic truly defines what kind of person they are?
That's a hard question to answer in this day
One of the things that I think that my friend and I came to at least an unconscious recognition over this weekend was we could have a lot of differing opinions, but I truly feel that his opinions were not based on some social media ad or, some headline he read on a newspaper article, but he does a lot of reading. Like, he reads a lot, and his knowledge. So I could respect him that even though I didn't necessarily agree with everything he was saying, that I wasn't being manipulated by someone who just is taking the headline and not doing their own research for it. And yet,
yeah, but I guess it depends where he's getting the information from, though, too. Like is he getting, if he's reading it online, what's his source? Because so many times people can sit there and say, "Oh yeah, I read this." And I have this source, and that source is something like MSNBC or Fox News, and it's so far left, so far right, you can't trust it.
Yeah, I mean, and whichever way you say, like the woman at work with Noreen's company, she doesn't like Noreen because Noreen likes another employee that this woman hates. So, I mean, that's petty, right? That's like totally petty. But then when I ask you, hey, I need you to do this for me, I'm sorry, I can't do that for you, and walk away. Like, that's passive aggressive, and that's like non-productive.
Yeah, that's a big red flag and a strike in my book. Do you remember my position versus your position? And I don't like playing that card, but I will when I have to.
And I mean, I'm sure all of us have been that point where it's like, there's just certain things about your personality I just don't want to be around. I just don't want to be around. So I'm going to leave, whether or not it's the right thing to do or not. It's better for both of us if I just stay away from you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've met people like that. And I'm sure some people feel that way about me and some people feel that way about you. And, those people are clearly wrong. But, we have to respect their opinions and understand that also comes down to perception. How you perceive something could be completely different how someone else perceives it. And without that upfront, honest communication about it, you're not always gonna be on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how these people that do it, where they keep their emotions in so much check. Like if they don't feed their emotions with any anger or happiness, so when they get into fights, they handle it so calmly and keep their emotions in check. I wish I had that skill set. I really do.
Those people are called
Is
sociopaths.
that what it is? Oh, okay.
That's what that
Okay.
is. Those even and I feel like I do a pretty good job of keeping everything in check at work and not getting too high, not getting too low. But if I'm passionate about something, it's hard not to let that passion leak through,
Well, we did a podcast on relationship deal breakers, and that was one of the things. What's a deal breaker? Where you said, "Look, I won't be able to get over this. We can disagree about a lot of things, and I won't care.
Yeah.
But this topic, if we disagree about this topic, I can't move forward." And you and I both feel if that comes to that deal, I have to be vocal. I can't be passive aggressive about it and not say anything. I've got to say this is not good for me. And your behavior will cause me not to want to be around you.
Exactly. And I don't like the passive aggressive stuff. And, and to be honest, I don't want to have to deal with someone who's so in your face all the time that it's exhausting. There's to be like a balance in between,
Yeah. Maybe we should open up a school on how to handle disagreements.
I don't know, man. I think we'd even disagree on that because I think everyone handles it differently.
Maybe there's no right or wrong, I guess, right?
I think there's not. It's you have to read the room, and you have to understand who you're dealing with because how you disagree with me could be completely different how you disagree with Tom, and how you disagree with him could be completely different how you disagree with Noreen. So it's having those social cues to understand who who and how you argue with people.
It's a lot easier when you don't have an emotional connection to someone. It's a lot easier to disagree and say, "Hey, you can have your opinion. I'm out of here." But if I have a different opinion with Noreen, it's a lot harder because yes, I want to tell her when I'm not happy about something, but I also have to be cognizant that I have to be a little bit passive because if I say what I'm really feeling, could hurt her feelings, or it could be damaging to her ego or to her persona. So you have to balance that.
Yeah, and it's one thing I've been working on too over the last year or so is I don't always need the last word because and I've noticed that with people though I'm starting to recognize people that have to have the last word no matter what, and there is nothing more frustrating. If the conversation's over, you made your point, and I said okay, it's fine. We'll talk later. You don't have to send a sounds good. You don't have to send a K. You don't have to send a thumbs up. Just tell me, just leave it at that. Having that last word consistently, it drives me nuts. And if they after all, if they want it, fine, then whatever. I don't care. I'm not going to argue with you on it. But it seems petty.
I've never my biggest pet peeve with arguing has always been when you disagree with something I'm saying, but then you personally attack me or attack something important to me. To say, well, you're an idiot or you're a moron or oh well, it's because of who raised you, something like that. I hate that. It's like that's first of all, it's not even true. You're just using that as a weapon. But two, you're saying something that's hurting me. So if you were trying to convince me, you just took a step back in doing that.
Exactly. You've lost the high ground in your arguments, and I've had to catch myself from getting that petty in arguments. It's trying to prevent, if you will, that from happening just by stopping and taking a step back and just learning not to argue.
I think that's if that's one area that I always have to work on or that I never had to work on was I don't feel like I'm a dirty fighter. Like when I fight, I don't feel like I'm dirty. Like I would never bring up something that I know is painful for you or people who tell me a secret. I would never use that secret against them in a fight to try to gain the upper hand. A lot of people do. I mean, a lot of people play dirty to win, and sometimes winning is keeping the relationship safe, not winning the argument.
Exactly, and that's what you have to balance. Like, how hard is it to what's winning this argument going to be? What's it worth to you versus what's potentially losing this relationship worth to you? You know, it's that fine line, it's that balance, and that's hard. That's hard to do, man. That's something a lot of people just don't take into account.
Well, we should maybe ask that as our ending poll question.
I'll let you try this one out today. You haven't done one of these in a while.
Gosh, I hope I don't
say
screw this up. Well, hey, if you think you're more of a passive-aggressive fighter versus a straight-up-in-your-face fighter, post it on our Facebook page at Liquid Carnage. If you have any ideas for Tom's fighting style and what he likes to do, go ahead and hit him up on Twitter at liquid_EP.
You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Liquid Carnage, and find Tom on Instagram at liquid_EP.
We try this every time, and I always fail. Dude.
You get there, man. I mean, you were 50% there. You were half right.
I know. Well,
I mean, it's just one of those things. You just got to keep plugging away.
Dude, that's the great thing about our friendship. We can be right in each other's face. At the end of the day, we'll be right back to normal.
Oh, yeah. There's nothing but love. I mean, and really, truly, if I'm yelling at you, because I think you're doing something stupid and vice versa.
Yeah, and we've had some on these podcasts. If we look back at our history, we've had a couple where it's like, you're a moron. And then after the recording finished, then we would talk for another 10 minutes like, you dipshit, are you crazy? No, you're the dipshit. No, you're the dipshit.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's those after show clips that people really miss out on, that we call each other dipshits, or we call someone else a dipshit and agree on that.
You know what I need to do, Scott? At some point, what I'll do is after the next few weeks, maybe I'll just record some of our after conversations and put them into one podcast and just release like a bonus material.
Oh,
the outtakes, yeah.
The outtakes.
We call it the outtakes. We could record some of the beginning and some of the ends where we edit it out, and we can put that on there and just have a recording of, these are our outtakes.
The pre and post show comments. Right. Oh, I'm sure that.
That might be kind of fun. It would be like an extra one though. We'll do an extra one. Yeah,
that's true. Or one for the vault when we can't figure out when we're going to record through the week.
Well,
that happens sometimes.
Since we're getting close to the end here, this episode will record, and then the following Sunday we have our draft. So it'll be interesting to know what comes out of the draft. For next week.
Oh, absolutely. I've already been getting flack from some of our other league owners about how to do the keepers, because we've had issues. I will admit I've had issues doing our keeper league the past couple of years, but I've given us
I think that's going to be the key, dude. I really think that'll be a difference. I'm wondering, it's one of those things that has to be in there at least 24 hours.
No, I have to go in there and approve everything. I always forget that, or someone's traveling, they can't go in.
I love it. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I think so. And what I really appreciate is Tom was riding my ass about this morning because he couldn't figure out how to set his keepers, and he couldn't find his players from last year until he realized that he has to do it from the actual website.
Yeah, I learned that last year.
Yeah, well, he learned that again this year, and I think he learned it last year too.
Well, hey, we'll have to be passive-aggressive this weekend for him.
No, we will, and I will gently remind him that I am the back-to-back champ.
You got a pretty good team, my friend.
So, hail to the king, baby. Go ahead and
hey, thanks everyone for listening. We really appreciate you. That was Scott. I am Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some Liquid Carnage.